Yeah. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. Knicks and Bruises is back. I got my guy Sim in the building. What's
What's
going on,
poppin'?
Sim?
Good, man. Chilling.
Fresh off this Giants win.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful sports day for me, man. Knicks get their seventh in a row. Giants knock off the Commanders, 8-5-1. You know, to improve their playoff chances. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's that's
yeah.
that's that's nice.
Little
Tough game came all
controversial
the way down
ending.
to the yeah. Controversial ending all the way down to the end. That was definitely a pass interference, no doubt about it. But what you gonna do? They didn't call it. Game is in the books now.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. But yeah, man. Shout out to the Knicks. 7 in a row. Feeling good, man. Like you said, great sports night. It's my birthday in about 11 minutes. That's why
That's
I'm
what's
doing
up.
this episode. Just in case I'm tied up tomorrow. I'm not planning on being tied up, but I don't know what's gonna go on. So let me squeeze one in just in case. Um, but yeah, great night. The lefties, man. That's I want to talk about the lefties, the big three, their impact on this team individually, what we've seen from them, what we like, and any concerns. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna lead with Randall. I got a question, but I'll end with the question. Um, but yeah, man, it looks like a 180 from last year.
Hmm.
He's talked about the sleep deprivation or whatever. He's getting some sleep now, so maybe that's one of the differences. I remember early last year you talked about he looked tired. I think you brought up those concerns about the baby, and people in the chat was kind of killing you, like, yo, what you
And
talking about, Sim?
give,
Da, 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 da.
yeah,
But sure
excuses.
enough.
Right, making excuses for them. It's a real thing, man. And I know. People say, well, they got money, they can get nannies and they can do those type of things. But some people don't want to do that. Some people want to create that bond with their child, and I still don't know if that was the issue. You know what I'm saying? But it makes sense that it could have been part of the issue at least. And then I think also he's just taking some measures to deal with his own his own anger.
Hmm.
And how do I just have my own peace? How do I control my emotions? I think he's definitely taking some measures to deal with that. So I think that's helping him. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah, I agree.
because even if you were having those type of issues last season, you still have to control your emotions. You know what I mean? You still got to control your emotions, and he didn't do a good job doing that last season. He's doing a better job this season, although a couple of games ago, what I mean, he got kicked out. But that could happen. You seen him tonight talk to the refs after a call, but it was in the fourth quarter, towards the end of the fourth quarter, and he was much more calm and relaxed when talking to the refs on that play. So, let's hope that he learned his lesson off of that one, and that'll be the last one, the last outburst this season.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Greenhouse. Appreciate the birthday wishes, and Wonder Woman. Appreciate it for sure. Thank you guys for joining us. And yes, I plan on enjoying it moderately. Like I said, I don't plan on missing the show tomorrow, but this is
Hmm.
just in case. And
Right.
and if I miss it, I won't miss Queen's Court. So I'll be there for the Queen regardless. Um, but yes, appreciate you, Kerry Cox, for sure. Appreciate you. No, I agree, Randall. Um, yeah, 180 change of attitude. It, I've noticed the meditation pregame, which I think
Hmm.
started last year, but I think it was new last year, and that may be helping him. Um, 80% from the free throw line. That's one of the things I wanted to highlight in a big improvement. the three, it's not where I would like it to be, but it's not down at the bottom. It's not as bad as it was last year.
Right. Yeah,
He's
it was bad last year. It was
he's
real bad
doing
last year.
better in that area. And I think he's taking less shots, but he's shooting better, and he's being just as effective, as if not more effective than last year for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with similar numbers.
Yeah, I think he understands a little bit more that he's got to maximize his possessions because he's not going to get as many. There's not going to be as many possessions with the ball in his hands. Not that he doesn't receive a lot of possessions, he does, but there's going to be less of them. So I think he understands. Well, I better maximize them so I can get. If I want to average, if I want to get my average, I need to maximize my possessions. So I think he's taking better shots. He's becoming very good at getting to the line. You know what I'm saying? Which is clearly going to help his scoring output. And he's shooting at 80%. And earlier in the season, he wasn't shooting that well. So there's at least some point in the season where he started to shoot over 80%,
Hmm.
right? So well over 80%, 87, 88 or something like that. You know what I mean? Because there was a point where he wasn't shooting that well from the free throw line. But Randall's having a pretty good season. And things that I see from him, and I would have arguments with or debates with Tebow and some other people about him getting better. People would say, "Well, how much better? How much more better can he get?" And obviously, there's still a lot of time to go in the season. He may not get stronger and faster, but he can get smarter still, and he's learning better how to handle the attention that he gets.
Hmm.
That was the learning curve for Randall. I would try to explain to people that he didn't come into the league as the main guy. He had a main guy on his team when he came into the league. And then he went to New Orleans and there was another main guy. You know what I mean? He didn't to start to experience being that guy until he got to New York.
Late in the first season
And then
after
late,
the Mook trade,
right? And then
because
late in yeah. And so there was just some learning curve for him. And he's still learning and he's still going to be figuring some things out. You know what I'm saying? There's still gonna be up and down moments for Randall in that regard. And I'm not saying he's gonna turn into a number one. I'm just saying he's gonna continue to grow and turn into a player until at some point he'll plateau, right? But I think he can continue to get better. And it may not always show numbers wise. It may not be that now he's averaging 27 points and 10 rebounds and 7 assists or something like that. But his knowledge of the game gets better. So he's able to create better opportunities for his teammates. He takes better shots. He becomes tougher to guard because he's because his mid range jumper is better, or his footwork is a little bit more crafty. Those type of things, that come with age, experience, more wisdom of the game. You're seeing it in DeMar DeRozan and the way DeMar DeRozan plays now.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? He's, his game is, a really nice game to watch.
he's
You know,
becoming seasoned.
yeah, very seasoned, and Randall has time to become seasoned and be able to give you good output. I mean, he's averaging 22 and 5 this year, and I think he might be taking now. At this point in the season, I have to look. At one point, RJ Barrett was taking the most attempts and Randall was third. He still might
Mm,
be third. I don't know. I'm gonna look right now, but he's averaging 22.5 points per game this
yeah,
season.
22. I think nine rebounds. I don't know if that went up after the last couple games or not, but 24-14 tonight. 7 for 17 wasn't quite efficient, but the rebounding, man, that was big, and he's been on like a rebounding tear.
Hmm.
Um, you speaking about the free throws? I think as a team we're 80%, which is like a world of difference, from last year and from even earlier in this season. So we had to have been on a tear as a team from the line to get up to 80%, and I think we're like one or two in the league.
And free throw percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I haven't checked. I haven't checked that. I have to check it out. Randall is averaging 16.4 shot attempts per game this season. That's down from last season, and of course, it's down from the season before. All right, 16.4 shot attempts. Let's see what RJ Barrett is. RJ Barrett's averaging 19, and he's at
Mm.
16.1 shot attempts. And then Jalen Brunson. Let me get to that in just a second. Jalen Brunson is
While
averaging
you're getting to that,
20.5.
I have a question because one of the and it's not really a concern yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it is something that I've noticed. Well, obviously, recency bias again, uh, in the last two games to or the last three games, I guess you could say, because Chicago putting Caruso on Randall. You know, we spoke about that on your post games, and tonight, what's the kid's name that was on the Celtics? The Celtics, Naismith. They had
Mm-hmm.
Naismith on Randall tonight.
Right.
Rather, so I don't know. I'm wondering, is that going to become the trend? I mean, again, he was inefficient tonight, 7 for 17. I don't know if that's a tribute to the small guy on him or just him missing shots. We obviously seen him struggle, down the stretch against Caruso in that first game against the Bulls, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you, and we've seen this in the
Yeah.
past
Right.
where certain smaller guys have been effective against them. We've also seen that, in the past with Porzingis, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a tactic that is specific to him. A lot of people try this, and depending on the defender you have, you can try it. But Naismith, I wouldn't have thought that would be a matchup that they would have went to,
Right.
intentionally. And Caruso, again, as good as the defender he is feisty and all, I wouldn't have thought that would have been a game plan type of decision.
Right.
So you think this is something that we're going to see more of?
I do.
Moving.
I do. I do. I do. And yeah, happy birthday, man. It's 12:01. Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Happy
appreciate it.
birthday.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Josh,
Yeah.
Savvy, uh, Geraldine. Yes,
Yes, sir. Happy born day.
yes. It's
Yeah, man.
begun. It's
It's
begun.
begun. It's begun. um,
Make
I
sure I
do.
would get some rest in between.
Yeah, no doubt.
Having fun. But
But I definitely think it'll continue because I don't know if Randall's proven that his mid-range game is so good that he can consistently shoot over those guys. So right now, Randall, when he gets those when he gets those guys on him, especially in the mid post, he's still trying to back them down a little bit, but he's tentative. He doesn't want to pick up the offensive foul. You know what I mean? And then he ends up, doing, a little bit of a fadeaway jump shot. Right. I think Randall's got to learn how to um, catch it face up against those players. A couple of jab steps, boom, and then shoot over the top of them. And when he starts to make those easy mid-range jump shots, or when he starts to make those mid-range jump shots and make them easily, then I think people have changed. But right now, I think they know he's still a little bit tentative with those guys on him. You know what I'm saying? And not sure, still figuring out how to score over those guys without picking up an offensive foul. And so they bother him, especially a guy like Caruso, who's small. He's got the good lower body strength. So, you know, Randall will have to push through him to move him. Guys like Marcus Smart, and it's tough for him to get that rip through move with those guys because he can't get lower than their arms.
Is it concern? Is it concern a concern of yours or no? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna say it's not a concern, and I'll tell you why after you answer.
Yeah, it's not really a concern of mine because I think, yeah, I think there's an easy solution. If they're gonna switch those guys on them, just have Randall get lower in the post. You know what I'm saying? Give him the ball down there and let him go to work. They can't stop him down there. You know what I mean? I think that's a really, really easy solution right there. So
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna
yeah,
say. Gonna say. I mean, it's an easy fix, and to Tibbs' credit, at least I think, we've or to the team's credit, we've been recognizing mismatches a lot better than I think ever, last year or the year before, just as a
hmm
team. Seeing mismatches and exploiting them. I don't know how many times or how often we actually try to go to a mismatch, but recognizing it and utilize and working through it, I think we've done a lot better job of that. Um, but
the
I'm not.
only thing I don't like when they recognize the mismatches with Randall is that he still gets the ball on the perimeter and then he has to back the guy down.
Mhm.
When there's a mismatch on Randall, I think they should get him the ball in the post, right on the box, right on that little square under the basket. Get him the ball there instead of so far out, almost in the high post because now he's got to try to back that guy down, and you're increasing the chance of an offensive foul as well as a double team.
How much is that is on Tibbs to recognize it and implement, or Brunson to recognize it and point it out, which I think eventually in time that will come
Yeah,
if this continues. Um, or Randall himself
yeah.
say
I
like
mean,
who
I think it's on all three of them. You know what I mean? They look at film and they got to be able to look at it and say, "Hey, get lower," and that's all it is. Get lower. So I think it's on Tibbs to do the to look at the film and they say get lower, and then it's on Brunson and Randall when they're in the game and they recognize that mismatch to all right, let me get lower. Let me get down in the box. You know what I mean? Instead of giving it to him out so high.
no doubt. Um, yeah, clutch free throws by Randall down the stretch as well. You know, can't he missed? I mean, I think he missed three, maybe four tonight. I think RJ missed. I know he missed two in a row at one stretch, but I think he missed three or four tonight. And I thought that was gonna bite us. Before the game ended, I definitely thought that was gonna bite us.
hmm
But yeah, he hit some real big ones down the stretch. And kudos to him. And end off the Randall segment with some flowers. Um, good job by him.
Yeah.
Brunson. Or did you want to add anything
Nah,
before we?
nah, nah. I was just saying, yeah, great. Good job by Randall tonight, especially knocking down those free throws in the clutch. Six straight. There's been times when he was iffy when it came to knocking down those free throws. He knocked down six straight tonight,
Yeah,
and I credit that to Brunson being there, not just not that Brunson did anything besides just being there, right? And being able to have the ball in tight situations, so Randall doesn't need to have the ball in his hands, and then Brunson making plays, and Randall can be in the corner watching the play happen, whatever. Just doesn't need to touch it every possession. So now he's a little bit more fresh when it comes time to knock down those big shots.
yeah. I mean, nice segue right into Brunson, the next lefty. um, big three. He's been everything we've been missing.
hmm
Everything that I think the guys who spoke highly of him advertised, and I think the naysayers should be pleasantly surprised and happy with his performance so far as a Knick. True leadership. Um, we've seen bad games where we still pull them away. I think just because of his presence. Kudos to his presence. We've seen bad games where he got sat and then said, hey, I would have sat me too, holding himself accountable. You know, you know, we've seen. I mean, I could go on and on little things to big things that we've seen from Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the biggest? If you had to name one thing, like what's the biggest thing you think he's brought to this team?
I think he's a stabilizer. You know what I mean? I don't know how many times in late game situations Brunson's been the guy to stabilize the team, knock down a big shot, pick up a big,
Charge.
create an offensive foul, pick up a charge. You know what I mean? He's just been that stabilizer out there, and then the grit and determination that he brings to the team, like just the fight, the battle that he's bringing every time he steps out there on the floor, and in those tight situations, have I think it. I know for me personally, in those tight situations, I always feel like Brunson's going to come up with a play. You know what I mean? Iffy about everyone else, but I feel like Brunson is definitely going to come up with a play. So I think that's the big things. He's a stabilizer. You know what I mean? He stabilizes the team and
So
makes plays.
when we do when we do our Brunson t-shirts or whatever, right? We just gotta have Brunson and whatever it takes
You
because
know?
I feel like that's what he does.
Yep.
Um, like you said, the big cat getting the charges. The past two games, him in the passing lane. For all the naysayers and the guys that talked about his lack of defense and his size and the things that I honestly are out of his control. When you look at the things that he controls, he plays bigger than his size. You know what I mean? Like, and he does whatever it takes. Like I said, bad shooting night, but he'll come up with defensive stops. He'll come up with 11 assists. I can't say enough about him. I think he's fighting for all-star bidding.
Mm-hmm.
I think tonight was a personal matchup for a competitor in that in that realm of trying to get an all-star nod in Halliburton, and I think he's proven. I have another question. This is if we had to choose, I know we missed out on Mitchell, and we already had Brunson at the time, but if we had to choose between the two,
Mm-hmm.
only one of them, who would you have chosen?
At that time, I'm pretty sure I would have chosen Mitchell.
Or now, or does now change anything?
I don't think so.
Mm,
I think I still would have chosen Mitchell. You know what I mean? Because I still feel like Mitchell is a number one. Like he's that talent.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's that. He has. He's gonna. Brunson. Some nights are gonna give you 30. I clearly he's gonna average 20 a game. Donovan Mitchell can easily give you 30 without even thinking about it. You know what I mean? So I definitely would still take Donovan Mitchell. You might still be looking for the emotional leader and stabilizer out there. You know what I mean? But you got to get that kind of talent in for Now I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say first, but you got to get that kind of talent. You know what I mean?
I knew your answer because I think I asked it back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think I still would pick Brunson. Um, if I was choosing one of the two, and my argument would be at the time, both. I'm gonna say unproven in the sense that neither one won the championship, right? In the NBA, you
Right.
know what I mean. Donovan obviously more proven, but I would also say that he had the more talented teams around him, right? You know what I mean? Full structured teams, big, wing, defender, shooter. You know what I mean? Like he had all the pieces. Granted, Brunson had Luca, but the structure of the full team was never the same. Two different roles. But my argument for Brunson would have been he's just as much a winner as a Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell proved it in the playoffs. Brunson had his opportunity in the playoffs and proved it. Granted, one opportunity, but he proved it. One of those times again was against Mitchell. But here's the thing
Hmm.
that, excuse me one second. Here's the thing that I think people discredit or don't realize the importance of Brunson's championship pedigree or winning pedigree. You could talk about it in high school or you could ignore it. If you want to ignore it, that's cool. But when you talk about those back to back national championships,
Hmm.
that puts him in a class of very few people, right? And then what it takes to win those, even just to win one, the focus, the mindset, you know, you don't have to be a superstar, but to be a important piece of a team that wins a national championship, I I think that's gonna do more for your NBA career. You know what I mean? Than you being a superstar or potential superstar or the talent, but not having gone through that type of experience where you have to focus day in, day out, one game to the next. It's one game or go home. So that kind of focus you have to go through to win that tournament, and then to
Hmm.
do it twice, and then to be like the integral part of that. That's winning pedigree. You,
Yeah.
you, you know
No,
what I
it
mean?
is. It definitely is. It definitely is. Um, you know, I mean, that pedigree is can be unmatched. Obviously, there's guys that have that winning pedigree, but weren't able to you know do anything in the league. Brunson obviously isn't one of them. You know what I mean? Um, and it's will Brunson ever reach Donovan Mitchell heights? With that type of output, I don't know. You know what I
I
mean?
think the
Is
only
he what the Knicks need right now? Probably so, but I think I would still go with Donovan Mitchell because it's that you you know you need that infusion of talent. I believe you know what I'm
no,
saying.
I mean,
You got to have that guy somewhere. But I
I
mean, I
agree, and
understand how people feel
I
though.
can never prove my theory. Like the only argument would be, all right, who wins the title first? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the only way to be like, all right, I was right. You know what I mean? And or unless neither one of them win it, and then somehow they're neck and neck in like the Eastern Conference and playoff
Right.
berths and all that. But Brunson does have that one up in the head to head, the
Yeah.
head to head playoff matchup at this point. Um, but I know it's a hot
Yeah.
take. It's a hot take.
And when
But
you look at Donovan Mitchell, I don't think he's ever not been in the playoffs.
mm-mm,
Right? He's never
nope,
not been in the playoffs since he's been in the league, and he's basically been the man for his team since he's been in the league. And I'm pretty sure Cleveland's going to make the playoffs this season. They're 20,
absolutely.
20 and 11 right now, so you know
I think I think it would be.
I don't think he's going to be in Cleveland long term though.
I don't either, and
I don't
and
think so.
believe me, it's not like I'm down on him or I don't want him. Or I mean, I had concerns about the combination of the two, and I felt like we should have chose one or the other. And I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't say I would have chose Brunson over him. I just wasn't mad. I felt like maybe things would have been different had they not got Brunson first. You know what I mean? Had that not been lined up, I think they would have went all out for Donovan.
Right.
I
Right.
think you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I thought they felt like it was too much to do both those things and it'd still be a question mark.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you look at it's crazy. You look at what Jalen Brunson is doing now, and if Donovan Mitchell was on this team with him, how the entire thing would have worked out. Obviously, if Mitchell was on the team, if the trade would have went through, Mitchell was on the team, RJ wouldn't have been with the Knicks. You know what I mean? And it would have been a different three-headed monster because it would have been Brunson, Mitchell, and then Randle. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I mean,
it's
and
but this is who's here, and right now they getting it done. They getting it done. You know what I mean? They getting it done, and the depth. At first, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, it was like the depth hasn't proven to be what the Knicks wanted it to be. Now you can say, well, actually, it has because you look at you got Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose. You got these guys on the bench that if somebody really goes out for a long period of time, say Jalen Brunson or someone goes out, you can come in with a pretty good NBA player. Like if Jalen Brunson goes out, you can come in with Derrick Rose, and however the lineups work out, work out. But you would hope that Derrick Rose can give you a good 15 to 20 minutes, of strong basketball play. You know, um, so right now Obi Toppin is out. And Jericho Sims is able to come in and give you some good minutes. He's not giving, you know, I don't even want to say not giving you Obi Toppin minutes. He's giving you his minutes, and they're good minutes. He's coming in and able to give you good minutes. So
before I get to RJ, do you think there's any impact on Obi coming back if we continue to succeed at the
I,
rate we're succeeding without him?
I don't think so because he was actually here during the start of the winning streak, right? I don't think so. I think because remember we looked at the only thing is this the bench defensively right now is the based over the last 7 games, has been the best defensive bench in the league over the past
Hmm.
7 games. Defensive rating, points per game, allowing the other benches points per game, et cetera, et cetera. How much does that change when Obi gets back? Right. And do you sacrifice a little bit of that defense for the scoring that he might give you? If the defense is sacrificed at all, because I mean, he
And
was up and down defensively, Obi.
yeah,
So um, but I do think Obi adds something different, right? His the leak outs, the electric dunks, what I mean, the transition offense, the opportunity to have transition offense with Obi, I think that adds another dynamic.
yeah.
And I do think the Knicks need that dynamic out there on the floor.
So you think that automatically pushes Sims back um into situational?
I think it will. I think it will.
I'll
You
tell you
know
what, as little of a impact he does on the stats, his defense is really encouraging. Like
who? Sims.
Sims, like him guarding on the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
it's very rarely a concern. You know what I mean? Or you'll be concerned and then you'll be like, he's you know what I mean? He did a good job, getting the ball out the guy's hand, preventing him from getting to the rim. I've seen ball denial. I'm like, now granted, it's all in spurts. He don't get a lot of minutes, but he definitely plays well when he's on the court.
Yeah, my
Um,
my question would be when Obi comes back this time, Thibodeau stick with Hartenstein. Mentioning Sims'
mm,
defense, which he might still stick with him. But Sims has proven that he can rebound. He can bang. He can hit that little floater that Hartenstein hits too. Hartenstein really isn't knocking down threes like you know we hope that he would.
yeah,
So
that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, he's been a lot better lately, Hartenstein.
hmm
You know what I mean? But he's been, pretty inconsistent. And I think with some grooming, Obi is capable of doing the type of things that Hartenstein can do as far as,
right.
stretching the floor, passing the ball. Uh, so that's a good point. That's a good question. He does rebound at a high rate, I believe.
Oh,
Hartenstein.
yeah, he does. Yeah, he's
Obi, what I mean, he one night he does, one night he doesn't.
right.
You know what I mean? He's capable, but Hartenstein, he fights for boards.
Yep.
You know what I
He's a
mean?
much better rebounder than Obi.
That's about it. Let's get to RJ real quick, and then we get out of here right after talking about the trade talks. Um, started off slow, another slow year. It seems to be his thing. He's probably the least I don't want to say impressed. I guess I had the least expectation from him, to be honest.
hmm
It hasn't necessarily been underwhelming, but it hasn't been encouraging either. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of been borderline. I expect him to continue to get better though. He's honestly on a good stretch right now. I think 22 he's averaging
During the
in
stretch,
during the stretch.
he might be.
Y-
I'd have to check it out.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 22. I forgot the other numbers, but I think that's going to continue as time goes on. He'll definitely get to the 20-point mark again this season. How far above 20, that's yet to be determined. But I think 20 is like, or if the over under, I'm going over 20. So 21, 20 point, whatever. He's definitely getting there this year.
Yeah,
I
he's
guess
averaging 22.3 during this stretch during this 7-game win streak. 44% from the field, 36% from the 3-point line during this win streak.
yeah. And even if those are the numbers moving forward and they don't improve, I'm happy with that. That would get him, like I said, to the 20-point mark. I believe by the end of the year, and
hmm
yeah, you know what I mean. I don't think there's much. I don't think there should be too much on his table or on his plate, I should say, considering we have Brunson, considering we have Randall. I think by next year it should be like that should be the defining year. This year or by the playoffs. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's not too much I could say about RJ. I'm not like down on him. I'm not super high on him. Sometimes I feel like, he's the trade bait. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like, give this guy some years. Like regardless of, I know people start like they talk about 4 years in, but still it's 22, right?
22 years old.
Like if you're gonna talk about one, you got to talk about the other, and
Right.
I think they're equally as important.
He's still got some time to grow as a player. You know what I'm saying? He's nowhere near his prime. He won't be in his prime until like 6 more years. 28, I guess, in the NBA kind of starts your prime. So he's got a lot of work to do. Just You know, I'd like for him to work with. You don't have DeMar DeRozan on your team, but Brunson has great footwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Work with Brunson on developing that footwork. That's so important to me. That's so important for RJ. Develop that footwork because he's got to be able to be crafty.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brunson is like when you talk about body structure, like speed and athleticism. You know what I'm saying? Brunson is what RJ is in that category. You know what I'm saying? RJ doesn't have super athleticism and super speed. Neither does Brunson. You know what I'm saying? But Brunson has footwork and craftiness,
Mm-hmm.
and which allows him in a crazy layup package. You know what I'm saying? RJ 6'6" and gets his shot blocked more than Brunson. You know what I'm saying? And it's because Brunson knows how to get the shot over his defenders, use his footwork, and those type of things. RJ hasn't developed that skill yet, and he needs to um, develop those type of skills. You know what I'm saying? You develop those type of skills so that he can, he can score inside. And then get a fluent mid-range jump shot. I see him trying to do some things, but in that mid-range, and right now when he does it, I mean, they'll be off so bad. You know what I mean? Sometimes he's hitting the bottom and the backboard. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? But you got to work on it and do it in a game in order for it to grow and develop. You know what I'm saying?
My thing is his floater. Like like I feel like he's so much more efficient finishing at the rim. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say efficient, I'm including the times he gets fouled because when he's
Hmm.
finishing at the rim, it may get blocked, but more chances than not, it's gonna be a foul or he's gonna finish. If you putting those two in one category and then a miss and a block in the other, I think it's you know what I mean. It's pretty high that he's gonna finish or he's gonna get fouled. It's those floaters and those over the shoulders, those toss up shots that I hate. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you could be so much more efficient if you just attack the rim. How about those two finishes tonight? He got the big jam, and Red had the big jam
Oh
tonight.
yeah. Yeah. They were
We
both nice.
we need more of those.
Right.
All right,
Definitely need more of those. And RJ had a couple of nice moves tonight. One in particular that, a nice spin move in the paint that I was impressed by. You know what I'm saying? And then he laid it up, obviously, with the left. So,
that rip through too.
we'll see if he develops that, the footwork and the craftiness and things like that in the lane.
Yeah, and I definitely want to give Mitchell Robinson his credit too, man. Another double double tonight. I think he's been on a defensive tear since we've inserted Grimes into the starting lineup. I think those two have a synergy where it's not even like a offensive synergy; it's a defensive synergy. You know what I mean? Like Grimes is making it a lot easier for Mitch to do his job because it's less times that he has to rescue the team. You know what I mean? So if now he could focus when he has to rescue them, he could do it. It's not because it's not repetitive play after play after play. I'm leaving my man to help protect the rim, and the fact that Grimes fights over the screens
Hmm.
is not automatic switch now with Robinson. You know what I mean? He
Right,
can he
right,
can hedge
right,
a little bit and get right back. You,
right.
you know what I mean? When the guys that don't fight, he has to switch
Automatically switch.
automatically.
Yeah. And that was
Um,
killing the Knicks. Because it was called everybody was switching. They've cut down the switching a lot. And it's probably because Grimes is in that lineup. You know what I mean? And like you said, fights over screens, gets around screens, and gets back to his defender.
mm-hmm.
I mean,
and
the guy he's defending.
the communication between the two of them. You know what I mean? Because it's not just Robinson. You know what I mean? Anybody could be switching. Could be the guy on the opposite end of the screen when he's fighting over the screen. He's communicating. You know, just give me a second. I'm gonna get back to him. Get back to yours. You
Right.
know what I mean? And they're talking. And I think that's been the biggest difference on this defensive end. So I want to talk about these trade rumors and how these guys are handling it. Uh, we're gonna run through them real quickly. You know, he's come out and said, "I want to be a Knick. I don't want to be traded." I love to hear it. I think out of the young guys, he's probably on the higher value side.
Right.
Um, just all right, buying or selling the Knicks willing to trade quickly, and we're gonna talk about these as individual moves,
Right.
not as a collective or a big move. Because I think in a big move, I think the door is open for everybody.
I just don't understand what would be the purpose of trading Emmanuel Quickley, unless he's bringing back a star. And I'm not saying that he's a star. I'm not saying that he's a star, right? So unless
Unless it's a bigger move.
a bigger move, right? Unless you're putting him in a package for a bigger move, I don't understand why you would just trade him for picks.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. Why? You know, he's a good young piece to have on your bench. You know, one of these days he's gonna need, you know, he's gonna maybe want a bigger role or want, he's gonna want to get paid. He may want a bigger role, but I think across the league, they're not looking at Emmanuel Quickley to say we want you as our starting point guard. I don't think they're looking like that at him across the league. You know, and the Knicks aren't looking at him that way. So I don't understand what the purpose would be in trading him for draft picks.
yeah. He only makes
You know,
sense in a 2-for-1 or 3-for-2. You know what I mean? Where one somebody coming back is gonna be in the rotation. You know what I mean? Because you're taking a guy out of the rotation now. You know, different from the Cam trade. So now you got to fill that spot in, unless somebody who's already here is projected to fill that spot. So that would be the only reason why. And I don't see that happening. I don't see us moving quickly to make a space or spot for Fournier, Cam, or Rose.
right,
So I agree with you. So I'm selling. I don't think we move them. It did concern me that he was concerned because sometimes, I mean, granted, he was probably asked.
hmm,
Obviously, they always
right,
asking the players, but you know, I don't know. I sometimes the front office will tell you, hey, you might be, such and such, you might be moved. Just
right, right. You
at
know,
least the good
sometimes,
organizations
yeah,
will. They
you know,
won't let you
sometimes they
find out from Twitter.
exactly, you know, they might let you know, hey, this is a possibility. Um, and I see Sherwin, you know, he's saying IQ went 2 for 8 tonight. That is a norm for IQ. You know, he's shooting less than 40% from the floor and 30% from three, you know, and all of those things are true. I don't think that necessarily means you got to trade the guy right now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he just needs to learn how to fit into the role that he has on this basketball team. He's still a guy that's learning how to play the game. He's a young guy that you got, um, late in the draft. You know what I'm saying? So his salary, it's not like you're paying him a whole lot of money and all of that. He's a young guy that can still learn and grow and become a vital piece to your team. You know, what are you trading him for? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and to the people who always talk about, oh, if you don't trade him, you gotta offer him an extension. because a person is extension eligible doesn't mean you have to give them an extension. You know, I don't know why people think that, because somebody's up for an extension, you have to extend them, or because you don't extend somebody, you're gonna move on from them.
Right.
Like, they're not synonymous. You cannot extend them and sign them later. You
Mm-hmm.
can extend them to avoid having to compete with somebody to
Right.
sign them later.
Right. And listen, Quickly makes 2.3 million this year. Then he makes 4.1 next year. Right. And then after next year, the
Bird
Knicks,
rights.
can extend a qualifying offer. They can decide to extend them if they want to, but they can extend a qualifying offer. Uh, and then you go from there. There's no need right now to make a decision on if you're gonna, if you're gonna trade them. I don't think you have to, unless it's something
Uh,
bigger that you're gonna
or
do. But
unless second round picks might not have bird rights. I'm not sure.
he's not a second round pick,
Oh,
brother.
yeah, you're right. He's not
He's a
second.
first
Yeah,
round pick.
so
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah, we
he's a
got his
first
bird
round pick.
rights, so you don't gotta worry
You
about
know,
that.
yeah, we don't have to think about it right now. You know what I mean? You still got time. So I mean, I just don't understand. I don't think they're just going to trade him for draft picks. If Quickly gets traded, it's going to be part of something bigger, in my opinion.
And him coming out saying he wants to be a Knick, he don't want to be traded. Do you think that works in his favor? Do you think it means anything to the front office, or do you think it's business? It's a business.
Um, I don't know if it means anything to the front office. You know what I'm saying? They know, they got to do that. They got to do. I don't think it means anything. They're gonna be like, yeah, that's great. They probably, in the back, yeah, that's great. We would like for you to be here, but if something comes along, we got to make a move. You know what I mean?
All right, so you gotta keep that
That's,
same energy, because Derrick Rose has come
I
out
know,
and said
man.
the same exact thing.
I know.
I do not want to be traded. I want to be a Knick.
Yeah.
I like my role. Like, not even like I like it. I want to play, but at the
Right.
same time, if I'm not playing, I'm helping Dukes. I'm talking to Dukes. I'm talking to Quickly. I'm helping these guys learn. You know what I mean? Me
Yeah.
and Brunson guy can. Um.
The only thing I'll say about Rose is if they're gonna trade him, I think
hmm
they're gonna try to do him right and find a way to
Yeah.
facilitate him getting to Chicago. Even if he goes to another team, like they
hmm
trade him to Utah or the Lakers, right? I think they will probably have those discussions to say, "Hey, will you waive him so he can go back to Chicago or something like that?" I think they would at least try to facilitate that,
or know that he's willing to play there, and they're gonna have a role for him.
or that, right? You know what I
Just,
mean? Or that,
I
you know.
I I agree with that. I agree with that. Um.
You heard Tom Thibodeau, the other night say that obviously, he loves Chicago. Derrick Rose, talking about Derrick Rose because he
hmm
got that big ovation in Chicago. He loves Chicago. He loves the organization. Obviously, he's from Chicago, but New York, he's adopted New York as like his second home. You know what I mean? So he probably only wants to be in either New York at this point in his career. He probably only wants to be in New York or Chicago. You know,
I'm laughing because Sherman is laying into IQ. Yeah. Pulling up the defensive ratings.
killing,
You said
killing
4 for
IQ,
12
man.
last game. I mean,
He's not supposed to be perfect right now. He's not supposed to be perfect.
hey, we winning. Like, and it's crazy too. Like, I was just talking about it with my Bulls friend, and I'm like, yo, it's crazy how when we win a game, it'd be like, all right, it's okay. IQ was 4 for 12. You know what I mean? If we lost the game, I'd be like, I'd be feeling like Sherman right now. Like, yo,
Right. Yo, we need
man,
IQ
yo,
to step up.
can't hit nothing. Um, so same thing with Rose. He wants to be his. Come out, set it on record. Don't care about the role. Um, yeah, I think he's here for the long haul. I don't think they move him unless it's an opportunity, obviously, that he's willing to take on. And it has to probably be closer to Chicago where he
Yeah.
can get home quick when he can.
Yeah. I'll say this: the Knicks are not going to pick up his option for next season. Derrick Rose, I know that he makes 15. His option is for 15.5 million, just about 15.6 million, actually. Right? It'd be crazy. I think it would be crazy if they picked up his option.
I don't think it would.
For
I
real?
don't think no, because it's the same thing applying as a expiring contract that can be traded, that can be used in that facilitating a big deal. Where now if we pull off a Donovan Mitchell
Right.
type trade,
That is true.
that's a $15 million
That could
chunk.
work. That could work.
Um,
Depending on the cap space, because depending on the kind of cap space they would have next year, right? They could. I don't know what the cap is going to be. They could not pick it up and have the $15 million and just space that they could chew up.
mhm.
Um, it might be predicated on them moving Fournier.
Cam,
You know,
we talked about like a month ago how much space the Knicks have. It'll be like 30. I think it was like 33, 35, somewhere around there with the projected cap for next year with Rose coming off and you know everybody who can come off coming off. It was about 33 million, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like a super max contract that we could sign somebody for, but you know what I mean? It was one of those second tier stars.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna pick it up. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be back,
Yeah, that's true.
right? They
That's
could
true.
say, "Hey, we're not gonna pick up this option, but we'll sign you for the veterans minimum or something like that." You know what I mean? Um, but it does, like you said, it does set them up so that they could put him in a bigger trade, though. If they did pick up the option, or even like during the draft, if there was a
Hmm.
trade that could happen during the draft, because I don't think they have to pick it up until like just before free agency or something like that. You know what I mean? Like June 30th or something like that would be the deadline. So they could
Yeah.
still trade him.
Trade them, and then the other team could
Then the
not
other
pick up the
team could not,
option.
right? Then the other team could not pick up the option or something like that. So, or they could, pick it up and decide to do whatever. So, we'll see how that works out.
Next guy, Cam Reddish. He has not come out and said, "I want to be a Knick," but
No,
he has come out and said, "I didn't ask to be traded."
right.
Um, I think that's equally as important, whether it's true or not. Um, the one thing I will say about you know Cam Reddish is I've been watching him on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
and he's definitely cheering his teammates on, high fiving the guys when they get back on the bench from a timeout or from a substitution.
Mm-hmm.
High fiving, clapping it. He's been doing all the right things on camera. You know what I mean? And I don't
Right.
know if that's because he's on camera or not. He's been saying all the right things on camera. I don't know if that's because he's on camera or not. But I think he's understanding the culture that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's been explained to him by Tibbs per se, but I think his teammates have explained to him the culture he's in. You know what I mean? I don't think he's got that explanation in Atlanta.
Right.
And I'm not saying he wants to be here and I'm not saying he doesn't want to be somewhere else, but I mean, even in Atlanta, he handled it the right way. We didn't know he asked for the trade.
Right,
You know what I mean? We only knew because Atlanta told us.
right, right. And I don't think he's gonna cause any problems. You know what I mean? And I think the front office has probably already spoken to him and his agent and said, "All right, we'll look for a spot for you, a trade destination." And he probably already knows that. His teammates probably already know that. And and his agent probably told him, "Hey, be a good soldier. You know what I'm saying? Cheer on your teammates, do everything that, not that he wouldn't have done it anyway, but do the things you're supposed to do. That way, teams don't look at you and say, well, he's a bad character guy or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I think the Knicks are probably working on, trying to find a spot for him somewhere. I still think he ends up in LA somehow, some way.
My question is, if they don't move him and he ends up here past the deadline or after the season, do you offer him a qualifying offer just to see what his value is out there? See, you know what I mean? Or do you just or I mean, and because giving him that qualifying offer, that also puts you in position for a signing trade and for negotiating a fifth year in a signing trade, etc., etc. So if
Right.
he's going to the Lakers and they do have something you want, you know what I mean, or it might be a second round pick, you know what I mean, it might be something that you can negotiate just to help him out, help him get that extra year, help them out where you could. Do you do that, or do you just say cut ties?
It's a tough one. I think it's a
And
tough one
and
because
and even now, same thing. Like, do you hold on to the fact that you gave away that first round pick? So you say, I'm not moving him unless I get. It may not be at first, but now you may want at least 2 seconds, or
right.
do, or you know what I mean, or do you hold a stance in that, like, oh, I got to get something back, or do you?
Um, I mean that the first was heavily protected, I believe, like really, really protected. I think it was so protected it probably wouldn't even
What
have
it could be?
conveyed. You know what I mean? Now you gave up Kevin Knox, and got Cam Reddish back. So I wouldn't be as concerned about the first. Obviously, they're gonna try to, it's a trade, so you're gonna bring something back. You know what I mean? So I would, they might bring back 2 second round picks, or if there's another young player that you think could be promising someday, you might try to bring them back. About the qualifying offer, the only issue there is if you
It's the
extend,
cap hold.
it's a cap hold, definitely a cap hold, and if you extend that qualifying offer is 8.1 million, uh, Cam Reddish is probably going to take it because
Mm,
I don't know if Cam Reddish is going to make 8.1 million right now on the market.
mm.
You know what
So
I'm
you
saying?
think eight is an overpay?
Because right now with the way his career is, someone's going to be like, "Hey, we're giving
Fair
you an
enough.
opportunity."
Fair
You know what I'm
enough.
saying? So they might be like, we'll give you a 2 year, $10 million deal or something like that, and then if you can prove yourself, we'll you know do whatever. Um, so it's not like $8.1 million is crazy. So if you did extend it to him and he picked it up, he'd play for that for a year and then he'd be an unrestricted free agent. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I tell you what,
It's a tough one.
the winning has made it easier for me to, stomach the fact that my guy Cam is, on the bench,
Right.
because I really felt like he should be playing. Not necessarily starting, not necessarily, but you know what I mean. I felt like he got an unfair shake, but can't argue with success. And we winning,
Yeah. Right.
and it is what it is. Last guy, Fournier. Again, he's another one who has not said I want to be a Knick, but I mean, he's kind of said all the right things. Yes, I'm not happy with playing, but I'm trying to be a good teammate. And
Mhm.
what else can you what else can you ask for from a veteran that you know broke that the 3-point record for the current team and then has been benched the next season? Um, I think what 20 games in, if that.
Yeah. You know, I think Evan Fournier as good as gone. You know what I mean? He's not. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to cause a big issue, but I
Mhm.
think they probably had conversations with him too. Like, hey, if we can, and they may have even asked him, where, if we can find a trade for you, where would you like to go? You know what I'm saying? Just give us some ideas, and if something materializes with those teams, we'd make it happen. I just feel like Leon Rose and them are those type of people that
I
would
agree.
try to put their guys, their players in the right spot, in a good spot. But I think Fournier is going to be, by the deadline, I think he's gone. I don't know
But you
where.
can't force a trade. That's the
You
thing.
can't force a trade.
And
You know,
and so I mean, I get what you're saying as far as like working with him and figuring that out. But when you say as good as gone, who's interested? And I don't mean this in a negative way, like to bash him, like he's not a good player. Because I feel like there should be good teams interested. I feel like the money is not. I think after last year, I could say he wasn't overpaid.
hmm
This year you can't make that same argument based off of performance and playing time, and you know what I mean. But some of that is beyond his control.
right,
But he has that. He still has another full year. So
another
I
full
think
year.
I think next off season I would say he's as good as traded as opposed to before the trade deadline. Because I don't know if somebody's gonna want to take him on now without trying to fleece us in the sense of that's 18 million. We can't take
hmm
back 18 million and that not be it has to be an expiring right now for us to do it. You know what I mean? Like we're
Right.
not gonna take back 18 million that is even as equal to as long a contract as Fournier's, because then why not just keep him and use him when you know what I mean? He's situational. Situation pop up, we use him.
Right. I mean, I
Where would you see, you say the Lakers for
like.
Cam.
hmm
Where do you see Fournier going?
So if you talk about fit wise, I see him, could fit in places like Phoenix. Think he could fit there. Portland could be a place where maybe he could fit. How does the money work with those
Yeah,
teams? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Fournier, Crowder, maybe I could see that.
Mhm.
Um, who's the other team you just said?
Portland.
Portland. I don't know if
Portland.
they have the money.
Right. I don't
Unless
know.
they giving up on one of the guys that they just got that I don't think they're gonna do. I think the Spurs would be a good option of them even absorbing his contract
Mhm.
and taking him, but I don't know if they would even want to do that. I think he would fit there perfect under Pop. You know what I mean? I think the respect would be there. Um, Coming from this situation, whatever role he's given there, he's gonna, you know what I mean? He's gonna accept it because it's not
Mhm.
gonna be situational. I don't think. Um, but are the Spurs organization gonna ask for something incentive wise to
They
absorb
probably
that
will.
contract? So
They
that's
probably
the
will.
that and the Knicks have gone on record to say they're not doing that. So that's the tough part.
They said they're not doing what?
Um, at least giving up a first round pick to move Fournier.
But they might
Do you think two
they
seconds
they
do it?
they might try to move other people like a Cam, right? And Rose or whatever, see if they can find a way to bring back a first and then attach that first to Fournier, to move Fournier along, something like that. I could see him trying to do something like that. That way they're not giving away anything of theirs. They move Fournier along, if that's possible. You know, if it's possible for them to do that. Now, obviously, there's people that look and say, people always look at Fournier going to the Lakers along with Cam, and then
Hmm.
Russell Westbrook coming back to the Knicks.
I don't even think that's been the. I think because we need more salary for Westbrook.
Well, you
We
would,
we
yeah, you would need a little bit more.
now like 20, like 20 million,
Um,
like 20 million more.
yeah, that is true. He's making 47.
so
That
so
man's getting paid a
so
lot.
like they've been saying none in Beverly are the ones that match up with the
Well, that matches up with Evan
with
Fournier,
Fournier.
right? That matches
Um
up with Fournier.
oh, just Fournier.
Yeah, just
Oh,
Fournier.
okay.
Yep, just Fournier. Or Fournier makes 18 million. Beverly makes 13. None makes 5.2.
Oh, wow. Oh, I thought they've been saying with Cam too, so I don't know. They would have to throw. Oh, is it? They got the Gabriel. Is
If,
Gabriel
if
there?
if you did Cam, you'd have to take back another player.
Yeah, they don't have a $5 million player.
Nah, just Kendrick Nunn.
Okay, so yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Gabriel is 1.8.
okay, so yeah, I don't know. You know,
If you did Russell, if the Knicks try to do a Russell Westbrook, because the salaries don't have to fully match, you'd be talking about throwing in
Rose.
Derrick Rose.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that'll
if
be
you
40.
Derrick
That'll be
Rose,
38.
Cam Reddish, now
That's 38.
now you're pretty
You
much
probably
there
need another 2 million.
because Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose, that's 32, 38. He's 47. Maybe something small down there, McCulloch, somebody like that, to get it right in range, right? So now the Lakers save a little bit of salary. The Knicks bring back a little bit more. The Lakers save a little bit of salary, and then that 47 million comes off the books after this season.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I do it if you're talking about non-rotational pieces, and then just figuring out whether it's buy them out, keep them.
Buy them
You know what I
out,
mean? Like whatever the case.
right?
You know what I
If you
mean?
do it and then
I do it.
you do
Um,
it and then buy him out and let him go wherever he's gonna go.
my only problem with that is number one, it has to be for at least one of those first. You know what I mean? That we could end up using later in another trade.
See, that's where I think
But my only
the
problem is
Lakers
the
might be asking for first
oh yeah, then I'm
because
not
because they'd be taking on Fournier's
salary.
salary, and they can just say, well, no, his salary ends this year, so I'm not going to give you a first to take on Russell Westbrook's salary because we can just wait until it expires this season. So they would probably want s- some kind of draft compensation in return
I
to take
mean,
for the Knicks to take on Russell Westbrook.
would you do that? Would you do that? Give up,
I wouldn't
include
give
the
up. I
first?
wouldn't. I wouldn't give up a first unless I'm getting the first from somebody else. The only
Because
thing
the
is, the
only
only thing is
if you're doing
this,
that, you gotta know who you targeting,
right?
whether that's free agent. You know what I mean? Which that class is kind of dried up as far as people already signing extensions and
Right.
everything else.
The
Um,
only the only thing
or
is
absorbing
this.
a contract in the trade.
Yeah, the only thing is this. The Knicks have first round picks for this year. That what are they gonna do with them?
That's true. That's true. And the Lakers
Right?
don't.
Like the Knicks are not gonna draft all these players and play them.
That's
So
true.
what are you gonna do with them? That's the
I
only
mean,
thing. That's the only thing that would make me say, okay, maybe you could do it. You,
but
you
I don't
could
think
move a
it's
first
it's
for the
ever
right
a
move.
problem to trade a pick. You know what I mean? Like if you're a team and I'm a team, and I got 3 first round picks, and I
Hmm.
say, Sim, I'll give you one of these picks for a 1st round pick in 3 years, or just what I mean, within the next 3 years.
Right.
Like chances, like I think those type of trades are easy to move. Future pick, and you just let a
Yeah.
guy get the guy they targeting.
Because the Knicks have a 2023 first round pick from Washington,
Hmm.
2023 first round pick of their own,
Dallas.
2023 first round pick from Dallas, 2023 first round pick from Detroit. Now, the Detroit and Washington picks probably won't convey. You know what I mean? If they wanted one of those, I might do one of those. They have a 2024 first round pick of their own, the Knicks. Then they got a bunch of second round picks. But one, two, three, four first round picks for this year. The Washington and Detroit picks are pretty much protected, to the point where they won't convey. Um, so let me see trying to read what I'm trying to read the protections on those picks. So first round pick from, well, here's one, the Hornet. Uh okay, so the Mavericks pick, the Pistons pick is top 18 protected, right? And the picks would defer to 2024, because Pistons pick is currently within the top 18. The Wizards pick is top 14 protected. So that pick would defer to 2024.
And they have like 3 years protections before they like convey to like seconds or
Second
something.
round picks. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't mind moving Fournier. Von Allen, shout out to Von Allen. He says, Von Evan Fournier and the first for Duncan Robinson. See, I'm not attaching the first to move him. He can sit right where he is and be ready to play when a situation is called upon, as opposed to giving up a first to move him, especially when we're doing the same thing that we did with Cam, trading a guy who's out the rotation for a guy, and including the 1st round pick for a guy that is not going to be in the rotation. Like, for that, just keep the guy not in the rotation.
I guess the only thing would be, how much do you value? Like, let's say they did it for uh, um, Russell Westbrook. How much do you value the
Cap
47
space.
million
Yeah. Yeah.
cap space? Right.
Yeah.
If you value that 47, if you turned, let's say you traded the Washington pick that has a better chance to convey,
Not to
and
convey.
no better chance to convey than the Detroit pick,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's probably what LA
Yeah.
would ask for. They would want
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one that's
Yeah. Yeah.
closest
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
conveying, right? So let's say you traded the Washington pick, you still got 3 first round draft picks, but now you got 47. I mean, it's not going to be a straight up $47 million in cap space, but it's gonna take your
No, it,
cap.
it will. It
It,
will.
it'll take your cap from $133 million down to like 90 something million for the next season. And so I guess depending on what the cap came in at, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because when we did the projected cap at 33 million cap space, that was with Fournier on the team. So we would have close to 50 million
Well,
if we moved Fournier, Cam, Well, Cam's not under contract. Fournier, Rose.
So the projected cap space for 2023, 2024 is like 134 million, I think, somewhere around there.
So
And the Knicks right now, if everything stayed as is, including all the cap holds and all of that, the Knicks would be at 133. So if they traded everything and brought in Russell Westbrook at 47, then they would, yeah, they'd be at like once he was off the books, they'd be at like 90 something $1 million. You know what I'm saying? They'd be at like 90 something million and still have Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, Hartenstein, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley. They'd still have pretty much everybody.
everybody in the rotation.
Right. You know what I mean? And then they'd have this cap space that they could utilize. You know what I mean? So you know, would they, you know, who would be available? I don't know. Let's see who's available. See what kind of free agents are available.
I mean, not only that, but that, like you said, that space can be used to absorb in a trade.
And being
So
used to
now,
absorb.
you might trade a $10 million contract or whatever, plus you absorbing 30 million and you bringing back a 40 million dollar salary guy, if
Right.
that's the guy you're trading for.
Yeah, Black and White TV said no, they wouldn't. They'd only shed the cap they gave up. Right. They would shed the cap that they gave up. So basically, they would be sending out 47, you know, just about 40, 40 something $1 million, right? And then they would free up 40 something $1 million.
Yeah, because Fournier was under contract next year. Rose would have to be, his option not picked up. That's 30. That's 30 something right there. That's 33 right there.
Right.
And I
So
think there's other guys that we can denounce. I
I mean,
forgot.
so in that 133 million, Rose isn't included because it's an option. So he's not included. Right. So they would free up Fournier's money. That's 18.8. They would free up Cam's money because there's a cap hold there. That's
Hey,
8.1. Right. And then they would have to attach like you know, whoever, some other players. So let's put it like this. They would at the very least, they would free up close to 30 million. You know what I'm saying? At the very least, it would be like 30 million because Derrick Rose, his money isn't included there. So somewhere around 30 million still. It'd be 90, high 90s to $100 million would be their what they owe in guaranteed money, and then they'd have still 30 something $1 million. If they wanted to go that route. Still, it'd be
but
a nice chunk of money.
but me personally, I wouldn't go that route. I wouldn't go that route, especially if you're getting rid of all those guys, bringing in Westbrook, uh, buying out Westbrook. To me, when you start doing all that extra funny stuff, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? The basketball guys, they, you know what I mean? They like, oh, you trying to how you say it? You know what I mean? Like you trying to look so far ahead, you're not even looking at what's in front of you. And then you know what I mean? A injury hits. You know what I mean? Something happens where you need these rotational guys that you
Right,
no longer have. You know what I
right.
mean? Or you buy out Westbrook and then you actually have a use for him after you bought him out instead of like
I
to
mean,
me
they
you
could, they could
keep
get
him.
him, and they might, just keep him. But Westbrook, he's gonna want to at least play, and
I agree.
Derrick Rose is cool with his position and where he's at because Derrick Rose would be included in that. Westbrook is gonna want to at least play. You know what I mean? Um, but you're looking at the free agent list. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is a free agent. Chris Middleton's a free agent. No, he's got a player
Mm,
option. He's got a player option. He's probably going to
mm.
take that player option. His player option is 35.5 million. James Harden, he's got a player option, 34 million. Kyrie's an unrestricted free agent. KP, he's got a player option. Kevin Love is a free agent. D'Angelo Russell, Vucevic, Draymond Green, um, Jeremy Grant, Jeremy Grant, Harrison Barnes, Miles Turner, Karis LeVert, Will Barton. I kind of like Will Barton. I like it for his
What team? What
defense.
team's he on?
He's with the Wizards.
Somebody brought up Barton. I think it's Bleacher Report. Barton and Kuzma.
Hmm.
Man, what did we give up? To be honest, I think the only like valued player in what we would give up was Obi.
Mm.
It was oh man, was it Obi Fournier in the first? It might have been Obi Fournier in the first for Kuz and for Kuz and Barton. I'm like, that's kind of a steal.
But for yeah, that I don't know if there's not a game changer that you're going to be able to get
Mm-mm,
unless you're talking about getting Kyrie.
mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the
That's-
only basketball game changer. But I'm not trying to deal with Kyrie. I'm not
and
trying to
that's
deal
for
with.
I mean, man, it's like I love his game. He's one of the greatest like shows to watch when he's on and when he's playing. But
Yeah.
should have came. You know what I mean?
You know what
When
I'm
you had the
saying?
opportunity,
Right.
we would have fought. We would have dealt with all that went on, and you know what I mean. You probably still would have had some hate, but you would have had some supporters
Yeah.
as a Nick fan. I
Almighty
mean,
Finesse said, y'all don't want Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton ain't leaving Milwaukee, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? He's got a $35.5 million player option. I can't see why he's gonna leave Milwaukee
yeah, because
to come to the Knicks.
we can't surpass that.
Right,
Like we can't even match that. To be honest, I
right,
mean, we would have to finagle something to match it. So yeah, I don't think he would leave.
right.
Um,
So I just can't understand. Yeah, I don't think he would leave. So, that's kind of off the table.
yeah,
Kind of off the
I
table.
think I'm selling on Levine as well, and I know it was 2 games against us. They having a bad year, but it's too many. He's not consistent enough from what I've
Mm,
seen against us. You know what
right,
I mean? Like he didn't do what Donovan Mitchell did. You know what I mean?
right.
Like
You
he didn't
know,
have those type of
it's crazy when I look at who's out there. When you
stay
look at
pat.
when you look at the Knicks team, everyone falls in love with players and stuff, but if the Knicks are really going to take a step forward, somebody big on this team has got to go. One of the Brunson, Randall, or RJ, and it's not going to be Brunson. You know what I mean? Um, one of those three is going to have to be moved though to bring in the guy that takes you to the next level. I mean, unless they become so good together, it's like
And
this is a
and
budding
and that's and that's
squad.
what I was gonna say. To
So
be honest, and I know I'm always called the optimistic Nick fan, but I don't think that's too far fetched. That these guys could grow and reach a level of success together that puts them in contention in the East. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like where they can make the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, the Hawks made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals that was out of nowhere, right? Granted, they didn't get back. They're struggling now. They're not the same team, but it can be done. Especially the longer players play together and grow together. I think that's what's kind of missing,
Mm-hmm.
at least from a Knicks standpoint. Like for decades, all these years of Knicks and bruises, not 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 re-signing rookies, just getting rid of guys. Uh, yeah, this is the longest a team has played together.
Right. Right.
In years.
Yeah.
This
You
is the
know, and
longer a coach has been
you know,
coaching the team in
I think you
years.
gotta hope that Quentin Grimes can step up and develop more. Randall's gotta, add more polish to his game and get better. And then obviously RJ. See, you got a super chat in here.
Oh, Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Would you trade Cam and Randall for Wood and Bullock? No,
No, no.
no. There was a Bullock trade that intrigued me. I think it was actually Bullock for Cam for Bullock. Somebody had mentioned. I don't know how close their salaries are. Right now. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't do it. I don't know if that means Tibbs is going to expand his rotation, but he's definitely familiar with the system, familiar with success
I,
here.
I think he would expand. I think he would expand the rotation for Reggie Bullock for some more wing defense.
Would you pull that trade off?
Cam for Reggie Bullock?
Yeah,
I think I would.
with the Mavs.
With yeah, I think I would.
You
And bring
think
back
no?
Reggie
With
Bullock.
the Mavs?
Oh, would the Mavs do it? Uh, I don't know. They might. You know what I'm saying? Just
It
feeling
gives
like they get a young guy that
mm-hmm.
can, he can play some defense. And
Grow with
yeah,
Luca.
they might. My take said Cam
Maybe
is
he becomes a star to
eh,
play next to Luca.
next to my take said Cam is better than Bullock. He might be better than Bullock, but Bullock probably fits with the Knicks better than Cam does. At least
and
for
he
what Tom Thibodeau wants. Let me say that.
Yeah, and then he'll come in and fit in seamlessly. You know what I
Right.
mean? It won't be like, oh, what's my role? What do I like? He's already
Exactly.
familiar. They
Yep.
had success, so it's like your
Yep.
brother coming home from college. Like, oh,
Right. So now he's coming off the bench. So now your bench is Deuce and Bullock,
mm,
Emmanuel Quickley. You know what I mean? Like you know, that's a nice three
trio of
guard
defense.
defensive rotation right there. You know what I'm saying? And Reggie Bullock, can knock down threes. He's not going to be, a super duper star. He's going to have his off nights. You know what I'm saying? But he's going to provide defense every night. You know.
Yeah, I think that was in your chat. Somebody had said that earlier. I, I think I highlighted it, but I don't know if you caught it.
Like does that change the game for the Knicks? I don't know, but it provides some more stout defense.
Huh?
You know what I'm saying? And if somebody were to go out, like a Quentin Grimes or someone, Reggie Bullock could step in and play that defense and knock down some threes.
It's almost like a mirror image to an extent. I think obviously Grimes has more offensive arsenal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it's still green. He's still figuring that out.
Right.
Oh, before I get out of here, that bugged me out. That what was Grimes doing on that play where he got the I don't know if it was a rebound or a loose ball. He first he hesitated to bring the ball up the court. This is the end of the game. Then
Yeah.
he got trapped at the half court line. He passed half court and just stopped dribbling and picked up the ball got double teamed, and end up losing the ball. I'm like, what?
Yo,
Like
like
it
this
was
is
like he had a brain freeze or something. Like
that's what he had. You know, it's that you know what I'm saying? People underestimate those situations and what can happen to a person in those type of situations. And I think he was like, he
I
got the
never
ball.
practiced. He felt like I felt like I was reading his mind. Like yo, I never practiced this moment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we
you know what
we
I'm saying?
practice all these other scenarios. Like he's like, oh shoot, we ain't practiced
You
this
know,
one with me
right.
having the ball.
With me having that joint, I'm usually in the corner or on the wing. I'm waiting for you to kick it to me because he was looking for Julius Randle to come get it. You know what I'm saying? When he first got it, he's looking over to find Randle or Brunson to give it to. And I think one of those two guys should have been there to get the ball.
Agreed,
You know
agreed.
what I'm
But
saying?
at the same
You
time,
know,
I mean, you're right. As the leader, you know what I mean. You come get it. You take it. But at the same time, you don't pass half court and stop. Like, you know
yeah,
what I
I
mean? Like,
know. But you know, those situations, you know what I'm saying? Like your body's gonna do what it's gonna do sometimes, and your brain is gonna react. You know, it takes you being in a lot of those situations to learn how to make those decisions. And I mean, you think about it, it hasn't been that many NBA games for Quentin Grimes.
that's true.
You
That's
know what I'm
true.
saying? Hasn't been that many games. So, no hate on Grimes at all, but all these people, people came at me when I said that he's not a, you know, uh,
What has he proven?
yeah, and you're not giving him the ball in certain situations to go get you this bucket or that bucket. This is what I'm talking about. He's not that guy like that. He's a 3 and D. He's a 3 and D guy, and he might grow the ability to do more than that. But right now he's a 3 and D,
I
and as a
call him
3 and D, you looking for
three
your
and
point guard or somebody to come get the ball.
3 and D plus. That's what I call it. You know what I mean? Like, because he'll get you some rebounds. You know what I mean? He'll drive to the basket. You know what I mean? We've seen that as late. But like you said, you're not giving him the ball and saying, okay, create.
Right.
He can create, but you're not giving him the ball to create.
To create. And the way that he creates is not like the way Randall creates or Brunson creates. Those guys attract double teams. The way that he does it is you
Reads.
pass him the ball and then he makes a quick move to the basket. You know what I'm saying? And then it makes the defense collapse. But, when the defense really gets tight, you need that guy that's going to be able to attract, anchor your offense, attract the defense. You know what I mean? And he's not that guy. He's not doing that.
Yeah.
At least not right now.
I was just about to say, but let's see what ceiling he reaches.
Right.
Um, shout out to Grimes as well, man. He's definitely made me a believer. I felt, you know, I didn't know he was gonna be as good as I knew what he was capable of, talent wise, but he's shown a lot that I didn't see. The playmaking,
Mm-hmm.
translating, you know what I mean, the aggressiveness, going to the basket, uh, and it makes me think like, oh wow, maybe his ceiling is higher than I thought. I
Right.
know his floor was super high, but
Yeah.
maybe
What
his
he
ceiling
has
is
to get,
higher.
most of your players, not your small guards like John Morant and them, right? They break down the defense from the top, from the wing. But guys like Grimes' size, you look at your star guys, like a Devin Booker, right? From that spot, all of them can catch the ball in that pinch post area, like elbow area, few jab steps, boom, boom, pull up, fade away, spin, those type of moves. I haven't seen that from Grimes.
Mm,
Yeah. You know what I
that's
mean?
you got Allen Houston right there, bro. Right
you know,
there. Let's
you
call
know,
Allen Houston up, man. Get them
yeah.
tutorial lessons.
Right. But all those
Send man,
guys that can create like that, you know what I'm saying? They have that in their arsenal. They can catch the ball there with their back to the basket, face up, and then create havoc from there. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Sim, appreciate you joining me.
No doubt.
Um, well into my birthday. I think I'm gonna go to sleep though, get
Yeah,
a
man.
good nap, and wake up and start celebrating before my second nap and all that. Thank you guys in the chat for joining me. If you don't, if I don't get a streaming tomorrow, it's because I'm celebrating, but I will definitely be on Queen's Court regardless. At least for a brief appearance, if it's not for the whole show. But yeah, shout out to the chat,
No
Sim.
doubt, man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you. Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, your blackest time. Catch y'all next time.
Peace.
Whoa, my bad. I did the wrong button. Got you right now.